So there's war and all the time, but Ukraine and Russia right now, and crazy pictures coming out. What's your advice? And there's tons of different ages, right? And that's appropriate.
Yes.
But what's your advice generally for this?
Yeah. So if you have younger kids, these are things that you talk about, but I don't think you show, because that's very frightening. And for a child, how are they supposed to understand, like, where is that happening? Is that going to happen when
Ukraine?
we go to the grocery store? Like, what's going to happen to me?
Yes.
So I think we talk about it. And I think a wonderful way is to pray about it and to just ask God, like, please help these people, and to show our kids, this is an example to show there is right and wrong. There are just wars. There are reasons where you defend yourself, and talk about the courage of the Ukrainian people. Pray for them. And I think that is something very useful, and to show that the world is a broken place, but that we can be part of that, the renewal of the world with God's help. So just get them involved in that story, but they don't need to be bombarded with images. They don't need like 24/7, hey, guess what happened? And they don't need that.
Yeah.
It's going to be too stressful for your kids. And for your teenagers, it's maybe more questions. What do you think about what's happening? And really just that sympathy of saying to this, can you imagine if we lived there? That would mean that dad and brother would be fighting, and you and the girls and I would be fleeing. Like, we need to have compassion. Like, this is really serious. So these are helpful conversations that really do show what is happening in the world.
Yeah, the empathy part, that's really good. Talk to me about, get your advice with money. So my oldest is 5, got 3, 5, 4, and 2. And their whole life, like, they get stuff, right? Like, there's always food on the table. So
Right.
I've started to introduce this idea of like, oh, we can't afford that. And I've been saying that, like, oh, we can't afford that thing. Like, you want that toy, but we can't afford it. Not you just can't have it. It's like, oh, we don't have the money for that right now. And they're like, they're young. They don't quite get it. But how do we talk to kids about money? Raising gas prices. Everything's crazy expensive. Like, how do we talk to kids about money?
Yes. With your older kids, I think you can talk about, okay, things are inflating because of government policies and because of how money is being printed. These are things that can be controlled. So if you want cheaper gas, vote different in the next election. So I think if you're 16, 17, 18-year-olds, you can talk like that. With your younger kids, you're talking about like, wow, a lot of places in the world, they've experienced this, in a lot of countries around the world. You think Russia, in the and now, and anyway, you can tie it back to that we have been kind of lucky to have all these affordable things, but in many countries of the world, they can't afford things. So maybe it gives us more compassion for those who can't have everything, and use it for the advantage of saying to your kids, okay, we can't have everything that we want, but you know what? We have everything that we need. And it truly is a scaling back. And maybe the scaling back is okay. But these are conversations to have. That's real life. And I think it is good for kids to understand at an early age. Money doesn't grow on trees. Like, I do have to spend wisely. And for them to even have a frugality about them, I think is okay, because we live in like this credit card culture. So a frugality that kind of comes I think could be a welcome thing.
Hey, thanks for watching that clip. That was just one nugget of wisdom. We have an hour's worth of this wisdom, and I've had to go back and watch it a few times to collect them all. You can watch the whole thing by downloading the First TV app and becoming a supporter.